Hi everyone, welcome to Cloud Medici, and today I'll be discussing VPC, Virtual Private Cloud of AWS. So reason being I am discussing this topic very fast because those who are non-networking background, for them this is very difficult to understand VPC initially. And if you are planning to take AWS Solution Architect, Associate or Cloud Practitioner, at least 25% question will come from the VPC, or they will be somehow connected to the VPC. The funny part is, in AWS Solution Architect Associate exam, you may expect 22 to 25 question from VPC, S3 or Route 53. So without knowing this subject, this is very difficult to crack the exam, and VPC is vast and it has many different concept. So before even going to the actual exam, you need to understand everything. So I'll be not be able to teach you the hands-on in this one. So we'll take hands-on maybe in next few session, but this is a shortcut, to understand VPC, and few of the key phrase you need to know. And after that I will try to cover few VPC questions that is keep coming on AWS Solution Architect exam. Okay, so let's begin. So VPC stand for Amazon Virtual Private Cloud, and this is basically, if you see the definition, so it is a logical isolated section of AWS cloud where you can launch AWS resources in the virtual network that you define. So that basically a logical separation between your AWS resources to other resources across world. So other resources, if you are not allowed, they will not be communicating to your resources inside your VPC. So it is basically isolated. So in a real-time scenario, there in an organization there are multiple VPCs for multiple work. So it's not one VPCs, and the VPC is region scoped. Okay, so it is strict to one region. So that's all about the definition. And a VPC consists of subnet, route table, internet gateway, uh, network, ACL, then security group, NAT, and EC2 means one of the resource I have mentioned, but it could be other resource as well, like S3, EBS, anything. So it's a resource, I would say. But a VPC consists of subnet, route table, internet gateway. If you are want to provide internet to your VPCs, then you need to have internet gateway. But NACL, SG, and NAT again for the same purpose. So these are the few terms that you need to remember, and I'll cover everything in the entire section. So next is a small diagram. So this is VPC diagram. So as you can see, this logical container is called VPC, and this is scoped to a region, say US East 1. So there are two things inside VPC. What this is a normal VPC, so where you could see a AZ, two AZ you can see. This is AZA and this is AZB, availability zone B. Now this is a private IP address, and this is a public IP address. Okay, so they have launched ideally what normally happened. So inside one VPC, they have one private subnet and one public subnet, and in the public subnet, which is accessible from outside of the world, but the private subnet is not accessible from the outside of the VPC. So only inside one instance, like, they will be allowed to access the private VPC. So that's what the thing goes. And now the normal architecture, what needs to do uh, in private subnet VPC EC2 instance, we used to deploy our database part. So database should not be exposed to internet. And in public subnet, we used to deploy our web service, app services, which should the expose to public. So in the question which normally asks in, okay, so you are basically saying that you will be hosting your database service in private subnet EC2, then how do you patch? So in order to patch, you need to have a NAT access translator in public subnet, and you need to use that NAT to in order to patch your private subnet EC2. So that is the one question. Then you can see the route table. The route table basically you need to put some entry in order to access the VPC outside of the world. So if you need the internet in your public VPC, so it will not come immediately. What you need to do, you need to take a internet gateway which will provide you internet, and internet gateway address needs to be added in the route table so that this public subnet VPC can access the internet. So that's all about a small architecture of VPC. Once you do the hands-on, you can understand. And one more suggestion, please don't go through AWS console VPC. You should create the VPC, like subnet, route table, IG, NACL. Then you need to assign those to your VPC. There is a easy way to even launch a VPC console, and that they will create everything for you. That is not the case. So once we'll be doing hands-on, I'll be showing you how to create a VPC and other stuff. So that's pretty much about VPC. And then VPC IP should not be overlap within the network. So as we know, we have IP in IPv4 we have multiple type of IP A, B, C, D. So if you are having IP B to one VPC, and if you connect to the other VPC, it should not be IP B, it should be VPC C. Okay, so it should not be IP should not be overlapped. So then internet gateway provide the internet resource inside the VPC. So this is the internet gateway. It will provide internet to your VPC resources. Then this is the conception that one VPC should have one internet gateway. Then network address translator, NAT, helps you to connect within the internet to the private subnet resources. So as I have mentioned that if you have, suppose this is a private subnet, and if you have a resource EC2 instance over there, if you want to provide the internet for a while, so that you can do some patching, do some software installation which is required to connect it with the internet. So in that case you could launch a internet in a NAT in the public subnet. Please bear in the mind, NAT should be launched in a public subnet, and you could provide internet to your private subnet instance for a while. So NAT must be in the public subnet, as I mentioned. Then there is a option. There are two types of NAT. One is NAT instance, which is nothing but EC2 instance, and NAT is installed in the EC2, which is not good. Nowadays NAT gateway option have been given, and this is recommended by AWS because this is managed by the AWS. So if you are getting NAT instance and NAT gateway in the option, choose NAT gateway because it's a fully managed and scalable by AWS, and NAT is billed per hour. So if you are taking NAT, you will be billed for hours. So that's what the expectation is. If you are giving an internet to a private subnet using NAT, please disconnect if it's not required. Now security group. So security group, we are not touching everything, but as a security group, these are the stateful. So in security group, you probably know it will having inbound and outbound rule. So it is stateful. So if you are allowing something in inbound, it will be automatically allowed to outbound. You need not to mention. And in security group, you can just allow, you can't add deny. So that's what, like in NACL you can have denied rule, so that in normal use case of NACL we could have block few IP address in NACL, but you can't block because only allowed rule possible in security group. Nothing accepted by default. So once a security group is created, it will if you are creating a security group, it will not accept anything, but the default security group will have access to some of the resources. So bear in the mind. Then for SG security group, if the inbound rules is passed, then the outbound rule is automatically passed, which we have discussed earlier because it's a stateful. So if the inbound is passed, it outbound will automatically pass. Then the NSCL, it is a stateless, so it is works on subnet level and can be used. Use cases can be blocked any IP address. So you can add deny rule, you can block IP address, you can block a set of IP address by mentioning a subnet address. So, and it is a stateless. So if you are adding inbound rule, you need to add the outbound rule as well. So inbound is basically if your some other application is trying to access your uh, resources, that is inbound, and your resources is connecting to the outside, that is outbound rule. Okay. NACL is accepted by default, so everything is accepted by NACL by default. Now next question is next topic is VPC pairing. So you need to understand VPC pairing. So so should be the same CIDR range, so it should be same CIDR range in order to have the same connect. VPC pairing nothing but connecting one VPC resource to other VPC. So you, if you have multiple VPC, one EC2 instance can communicate to other EC2 instance. Okay, so that is the VPC pairing, and it should be same CIDR range. And then VPC pairing possible cross region and cross account. So suppose I have a AWS account and I want you to connect to your VPC account. You have one AWS account and you have create one VPC and you have one EC2 instance inside your VPC. So I can still able to connect. In that case, I will be the requester. I will request you your account to accept my request, so that my EC2 instance can connect to your EC2 instance, so which are in different region, maybe in different account as well. So but you need to accept it. Once you accept it, I can connect your VPC uh, EC2 instance inside your VPC. So that is cross region and cost account, but bear in the mind VPC is region scoped, but we can connect to different region VPC other instances. So then VPC endpoint, this is very important. You may expect one question. So endpoints, basically endpoints allows you AWS's resource to connect privately. So it's supposed support DynamoDB and S3 normally. So the question will come. So you have your S3. If you want to connect to your S3 from EC2. So normally S3 will work over internet. So you need internet connectivity in order to connect your S3. But you are your EC2 instance doesn't have internet. It is in the private subnet. So how you connect your S3 or DynamoDB in that case? So from the EC2 is private EC2 to DynamoDB or S3 connection, we need VPC endpoint. So this question will come for sure in your exam. Now VPC prolog, very important. VPC prolog will contain the IP address, inbound and outbound IP address and subnet, and VPC prolog will stored in S3, and Athena will be used for analysis. So Athena is nothing but the SQL service which can be used to search over S3. Next is Bayesian host. This is also important. It will basically a jump box and hosted in public subnet, so that you can access to all other private and public EC2 instance in the subnet. So next is side-to-side VPN. Side-to-side VPN is a VPN provided by AWS. In AWS, if you wish to connect your on-prem data center to any other AWS resource, you can't. You need a VPN. So that is basically known as side-to-side VPN, and you can see the definition over here. So okay. So this is a basically connect your on-prem data center to AWS resource. Now AWS Direct Connect, that is very important. Direct Connect is once you need, this is a physical connection, and it will be plugged to your RJ45, wherein you can upload your data to uh, AWS. Normally is used for S3, and the speed is 1 to 10 Gbps. And egress only, like internet gateway is support IPv6. So if you get egress only, you think of IPv6. AWS private link also available. You need to if you want to connect your AWS privately, so you can use this one. Also you have a transit gateway. Transit gateway is support multicast IP address. So if you are getting multicast IP address in your question, you may think of transit gateway, and it support complex VPC hub topology. So if you are from networking background, you have probably seen the hub topology or mesh topology and other topology. So if you want to create a VPC topology, complex topology, you can think of transit gateway. So that's all about 25 question. And in the next series, next video, I'll be discussing few question from the VPC. Thanks for joining this session. I hope you join the next session. Thank you.